Welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Let's do this.
New stuff, all the tangents, some politics, booze,
Some more politics.
stuff about Kansas, and lots of cheer scenes.
Friendly Argument is a podcast showcasing conversations that seek common ground across the aisle of American politics, as well as a few laughs. We hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching. Senator Mitch McConnell denounced, quote, loony lies embraced by Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, calling them, quote, a cancer on the GOP.
Mm-hmm.
I want to know all the thoughtful thoughts on this.
She's a crazy person. Every party has a crazy person. She's very popular with her constituency. Welcome to America. She's a backbencher freshman representative. Like, next to no power, but really fun for people who don't like the Republican Party to point at and laugh.
Does it seem to be like a lot of more than the normal amount of conspiracy believers in the Republican Party currently?
I think that what's the phrase that you use sometimes? You see what you want to see, or
you see what you want to see.
Is that no? There was something there's a thing. There was a thing you said, like when you look at something, you're like biased to see something. I think that there is a push right now to highlight the crazies.
But you don't think there's more than usual?
I don't think there's more. Not particularly. I mean, QAnon's been around for like 6 years, but it's, you get more attention now than it did 6 years. Well, maybe not. Yeah, 6 years ago.
There's
an Obama thing.
Millions of people in their Facebook groups.
Yeah, but there's hundreds of 350 million people in the United States.
I mean, I hope you're right.
Yeah, I don't see them as a maybe a diabolical force, but I don't see them as being any more crazies than there ever have been. I think we're at a point where where everyone wants to point out the crazies, more than usual.
Is it maybe more crazy is getting into the mainstream? Because a representative.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, so if you look at not to do whataboutism, because I don't think that there's really, I don't know that that's a thing, but I mean, honestly, AOC, Ilhan Omar, and Rashida Tlaib shouldn't have the national press that they do. They're effectively freshman and sophomore representatives who just kind of got pushed to the front, right? There's no real reason that they should be in the news as often as they are, but they're kind of crazy, and so it's better, so they get more clicks.
Yeah. It was. I mean, this came through at 6 o'clock today.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I've been hearing rumblings of her for a couple days now, but like I said, I think she's an easy straw dummy to hit. I don't think she's much more than that.
Yeah. I mean, as crazy, you would, in your mind, I'm guessing you see AOC as equivalently as crazy as QAnon believing Green.
Yeah. At least the stuff she puts forward generally, like the Green New Deal was full of crazy town stuff.
But it is.
She believes that Ted Cruz tried to kill her.
Yeah. That was I mean, that wasn't how she put it, but yeah, she definitely he was part of the he definitely didn't denounce the thing, and
he denounced the violence. He immediately denounced the violence.
Yeah.
According to him, his argument was that he wanted a 10-day, like, hey, we should look into this. There's 35% of the U.S. population believes there was some shenaniganry. Like, it wouldn't hurt to do 10 days of an audit.
Yeah, there's that number again, though, and that doesn't.
It was polling data. So it's like, if that's a significant part of the thing, like, no one believed that it would overturn the election, but there's no reason not to look into it. And that was his point.
They did a bunch of times.
Yeah. I mean, I have to admit, like, I haven't seen, there's people who I tend to respect who think that the data was not actually looked at. I don't particularly find it to be convincing. So it's one of those things where I don't know. I haven't looked into it deep enough to be like, I'm 100% sure, even though I don't think anything. More people I respect say nothing, like there wasn't anything what was it? It was free, but maybe not fair, is kind of how I come down on it.
With no things to back it up.
No, I mean, there is evidence of election irregularities and election fraud, but I mean, we don't know how much election fraud there is without like months and months and months of serious investigation, which we're just not going to have. And it could be there was not a significant number. Like, at the end of the day, it doesn't particularly matter because we're not going to tear apart the country.
It's the capital.
Yeah. Well, 2,000 crazy people does not a representation make.
Is Trump included in your 2,000?
No, because he didn't incite them. His words were specifically, "We're going to go peacefully protest." Now, he didn't help. He didn't help with his
fight like
overall.
Hell. Fight like hell. That's another direct quote.
Well, yeah, but I mean, is that really the thing we want to go with? I can show you. We can very easily go look up on YouTube, like Maxine Waters, Bernie Sanders, like name your politician who has said equal, if not greater, rhetoric. Maxine Waters called for actual assault on people, but we're not going to hold her responsible for any actions.
Right. Is that equivalent?
I mean, it's more. I would say it's more so, in that it was a direct call to action.
You would say it was more so than
Maxine Waters saying,
we are going to walk
Maxine
down.
Waters saying, go into restaurants and yell at people who are Trump supporters is a direct call to action, than more so than Trump saying, we're going to march down there and peacefully protest the decisions being made.
Yell words, fight like hell, and then they went and they fought like hell.
I feel like you're being intentionally obtuse here.
I'm genuinely not. How do we go from zero evidence of?
There wasn't zero evidence. There was some evidence. It was unlikely enough to overturn.
No more than usual evidence.
Mm.
And this hasn't been there's no evidence that it's any different than any other election in the United States, and it did not have an insurrection.
There was a lot of procedural things that happened beforehand, and a lot of that opened up the possibility for more voter fraud. This was not a normal election. No
more evidence than a normal election.
Okay.
Than issues. Stop the Steal campaign. Actual insurrection on the Capitol with violence and death.
Mm-hmm. That was not called for by any part of the leadership, including Donald Trump.
It's a real result. It's a real result.
Yeah, and so my counterfactual then is a lot of the rhetoric from the Democratic Party led to a lot of riots all over the summer. Both are bad. Who do we hold responsible for that? Yes, they're equivalent. How are they not equivalent?
BLM just got an international award For over 20 million people,
that holds
over
no
20
water
million
for
people
me.
protesting.
Yeah, Obama
deaths.
got a Nobel Peace Prize for existing.
So 20 million people came out and protested over, was it 6 months or whatever it was, and
caused $1 billion worth of damage.
Well,
burned several cities, not to the ground, but significant portions of them.
And not equivalent.
No, I'm saying those are equivalent. There were bad actors who did things that people were calling for, or rather not explicitly calling for. Yeah, well, maybe there was some explicit calling for it. Yeah. There's enough compilation things of that.
I guess the protester per death number or the death per protester number, I guess the numerator and denominator get that.
Two things can still be bad, Jeremy.
Yeah, but not equivalent.
They're a thing in kind, if not in quantity.
Even in kind.
How are they not? How are they different in kind?
The death per protester for 0 over 20 million versus 5 over 2,000.
Well, first of all, there were a lot of people who did die. Oh, I shouldn't say a lot. There was somewhere between like 50 and 100 people who died as direct actions from the BLM protests. So you're still your number thing still holds weight, but they are still it is violence done in the name of a political agenda. Those are in-kind comparisons. They may not be in quantity comparisons, but they are in-kind comparisons.
Like first degree and second degree, maybe?
No, I don't see how they're any different. They were both, like, some of the stuff was planned, some of the stuff was opportunistic. Like I guess I don't see.
I definitely, I mean, that's of course, yes.
Like there were definitely people at the January 6th thing who had planned it. Like there's evidence that there was some organization that took part for the whole thing, which I think actually kind of lets Trump off the hook a little bit more, but that's neither here nor there. There's also been organization of a lot of the riots that happened over the spring and summer. They are in-kind things. And I guess, and this is a side point, but when the right says things like, "Hey, both of these things are bad," we should say both of these things are bad, and they're both bad. Like it feels a little disingenuous and like there's a lack of good faith if the left doesn't agree.
Yeah, I think that there's a reason why we have thresholds. Everything is equivalent.
So let me do something that the Impossible Conversation book talks about.
Sure.
I'm going to make a statement, and I want you to make the exact same statement.
Okay.
The insurrection and the violence at the BLM protests were bad.
The insurrection and the violence at the BLM protests were bad.
You can agree to that.
I might not phrase it that way, but yeah.
How would you phrase it?
I would say that the violence propagated based on a lie versus violence propagated based on shooting for equality and more justice is going to be a
so Jeremy, can I restate it as you stated it?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Violence based on injustice is different than violence based off of a lie from a movement that was started on a lie that has been consistently factually incorrect in its methods or in its causes is different, correct?
It's different, yeah.
Now, I just said the exact same thing you did, but I reversed it. Because BLM, so the hands up, don't shoot, has been factually proven to be completely made up from whole cloth. Of all of the unarmed black person shootings, last year there were 15. And of those ones that are like really famous, the only one that like really bears out in the facts is the one where the guys chased the dude down in a truck. All the rest of them, they were either armed beforehand or they died from something that was other than the police direct action.
So not George Floyd.
George Floyd died from a methanol overdose. If you go and watch the entire thing released from the forces, the reason he was on the ground was because he was begging not to be put into the car. Right. And so he was put on the ground. He then started struggling.
There was a delay.
Yeah. So George Floyd, at the time of his death, the coroner said he had enough methanol in his system that if it weren't for the other things going on, it would have been ruled an overdose death. If you watch the entire video, like 45-minute video of body cam footage, we're treating George Floyd with as much care and respect as humanly possible. When they put him on the ground, he was trying to get up, and they put like the knee on the neck was not good, granted, but he had been saying similar things for 45 minutes before that. He was only on the ground because he requested not to be put in the back of the police car because he was claustrophobic. So that is why he was on the ground outside the police car.
Okay. We agree that the knee on the neck was not good.
It was not bad, but what I'm saying, my greater point is that both of the incidences we're talking about are based off of lies. The violence, regardless of whether they're based on a lie, is bad, is what I'm trying to say, and that these are in-kind things.
Was one for unjust, like to make things more just.
Yes, both participants thought they were doing something to make things more just. One side believed that there was a stolen election. One side believes that there's systemic police brutality. Both are factually and statistically wrong.
Well, I think I'm interested to see how this goes over. I didn't anticipate going into a racial thing.
It's not a racial thing. I don't see it as a racial thing. It is it's not a racial thing, Jeremy. It's only a racial thing if one makes it a racial thing.
The BLM protests are racial.
It's considered racial. I mean, yeah, I guess most people would consider it racial, but the idea behind it is America systemically racist, or is it not? Correct? Because the premise is the premise of Black Lives Matter is that the American system, particularly the police in general, are just rampantly killing Black men, right? So that premise has statistics. Those statistics,
well,
in every major case.
Speak for BLM.
Can you say that again?
Sorry, there's a bit of a delay. I'm not comfortable. I'm personally not comfortable speaking for BLM.
Okay, that's fine.
Literally, like, whitest dude known to man. I think that both of the things make a difference. If you are shooting to make things, maybe that's the wrong term. If you're trying to make things more just, and it is in fact more, there's more than no proof, that's better than trying to make things just and there is no proof for it. In my view, they're just not equivalent. But this is good. This is a fundamental
this would be
disagreement.
This is a fundamental disagreement.
I mean, the institutional racism in the United States, I think is clear, and you wouldn't.
No, I mean, there has been in the past. There has been. There's no denying that there has been in the past. Oh, 1 second. It's unstable. Wait for the internet to catch up.
Yeah,
okay,
I know.
Are we back? Yeah. I would say, like, in the past there has been, and like today we have made progress towards there not being. In order for me to believe and agree to the institutional racism, you would have to point to a place where it's like, this is where it is legally allowed for someone to do racist things. Oh, you froze.
I don't know if you have to do that.
There's an argument. So there's an argument, right? By saying the U.S. is institutionally racist, you are making a proposition. In order for that proposition to be proven valid or invalid, you have to make arguments in support of it, right? So in order to do that, you have to show this is where things are institutionally racist. So if you can point to those, then yeah, let's discuss them on a point by point basis. But saying whole cloth like the U.S. is institutionally racism, I can't see it. I mean, I could see maybe there's some places where I would argue that is an institutionally racist place, but it's usually the places that people who spout institutional racism are very happy with, like the welfare system or a lot but not all government programs. I think that they are generally focus on a particular race, and their focus, the things they do, keep people in poverty and oppressed.
So you see, I'm trying to paraphrase.
Yeah.
What the government programs are, those like welfare, you think is institutionally racist and keeps minority groups in oppressed situations.
Yeah. It's maybe it's a little more. I mean, it's a little more new. I would say it's a little more nuanced than that, but that's a whole other discussion. But broad brush strokes, yes.
And so this program that is, I believe, it is intentioned to help.
Oh yeah,
folks in those situations, you think is actually doing the opposite.
Yeah. Like, I don't disagree with you that the intention was to be helpful. I don't think but the pathway to hell is paved with good intentions. I don't think it did what it meant to do. I think it ended up doing the opposite, which this might be a different podcast, but we can get into that. Actually, I had a book recommendation last week. And it actually touches on this. It is, for our listening audience, it is Lessons from the Least of These by, I think it's Robert Woodson Jr. Lessons from the Least of These. Yes, by Robert Woodson. So he was a middle part of the civil rights movement. And then he was in the Army for a little bit, and he used his GI Bill to become a social worker. And then from that, he's kind of developed this foundation that basically works with people who are in the neighborhoods to help fix their neighborhood up or make the community better. It's one of the welfare systems is one of the things he talks about. He's very big into personal agency.
And the lessons from the least of these, what was the name of the author?
Robert Woodson. Bob Woodson. I will put it in chat, which our viewing audience can't see, but.
Oh, yeah. Well, we can comment it too.
That is true. I think he doesn't necessarily always do. The place that publishes him is not explicitly Christian, but he does have a few of his principles are very Christian. But I'd say of the 10 of them, 7 of them can be made from a secular argument.
Okay.
Just to be fair to our listening audience, there is some Bible talk in there, but it's not all of it.
It wouldn't be America without a little Bible talk.
Of course it wouldn't. We're founded on Judeo-Christian principles, whether people like it or not.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a whole story, but yeah.
I mean, it's one of the 5 pillars of Western civilization.
One of the 5. One of the 5.
And it was, seated throughout all of our founding documents.
Yeah. There's that's in there, and some other stuff in there. And
there's some. I mean, they were all at least DS.
But what are we going to talk about today?
Okay, well, what we're supposed to be talking about. Welcome to Friendly Argument with J. Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Hello.
There you
Holy
go.
Kittens.
So, Jeremy, we are like,
how long that was?
I think we're half an hour into our discussion before we started our intro.
We're not even that weirdly proud of us.
Yeah, I'm not. It's one of those. I'm not super surprised. You ask a question about what it started with. What's her face? MG. Yeah, McConnell. Basically, Republican leadership being like, okay, you guys keep like harping on this one crazy person who's a backbencher. So yes, we think she's stupid. We'll probably get rid of her. We tend to get rid of our problem people. And that went deep dive into
everything. We were all over the map. Pros and cons.
Yeah. So anyway, what I wanted to talk about today.
Yeah.
And this might be a place where we don't have as much controversy. I'll be curious. Okay. I'm curious to see.
Good. We got it all the way.
Yeah, we got it all. We went deep into controversy to start off with. That way we can do something light later on.
I didn't even.
Is this GameStop phenomenon. GameStop and Robinhood.
So glad. Yes.
Yeah. So I'm curious.
I'm gonna bring this up too.
Because I feel like I am of mixed mind in this.
This is going to be great.
Yeah. Do you want to summarize the situation? Or do you want me to?
No, go please.
Okay. So, for those who have never interneted before, there is a website called Reddit made up of various conversations, which are called subreddits. So one of these subreddits called WallStreetBets, which I think they're just a bunch of like trolls who like the finance world is what I'm going to go with.
My understanding is it's a lot of day traders.
Okay.
It's a lot of actual day traders.
Okay. Yeah. But they're not part of the hedge fund society. They're just Joe Schmo. Like, as I've jokingly been, I think the common joke is they're taking a break from playing Call of Duty to, screw with the hedge funds. I prefer to think that they're World of Warcraft players because that's much more math based. And let's be honest, hedge fund bros play Call of Duty. These people would play World of Warcraft. Just saying. Know your nerd.
It's a battle of the Oh, that's got to be a hashtag. Know your nerd.
Know your nerd.
That is.
Yeah. Day traders are clearly spreadsheet people. Oh wait, well, hold on. No, I tell a lie. We're gonna tangent here and we're gonna really deep dive think about this. So Call of Duty players are like gut Twitch players, right? Not Twitch the thing, but they're like their Twitch muscles and reactions are like what make you good. Sure. It's like you see the person, you shoot, you move. Whereas World of Warcraft is more macro and spreadsheet based, like the power players. I actually lived with in Kansas City. My roommate was the number 3 rogue in the world at the time in World of Warcraft, or he had been, and then he was like, I'm playing too much World of Warcraft, I need to stop. But the way he explained it to me is he had spreadsheet upon spreadsheet upon spreadsheet of how to optimize his damage per second. So like, and he would have a macro that just ran the thing for him. So it's like you do 1, wait 2 seconds, 2, wait 2 seconds, 1, wait 2 seconds, 3, wait a half second, 4. That way it was just like all of his combos were just firing, and he'd just do massive amounts of damage.
Oh, but you had the macro.
So in World of Warcraft, I realize this is Andrew assuming a level of nerddom that is probably not our complete audience.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. So Call of Duty, you run around shooting people, and it's very much just like pew, 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 and it's Twitch muscles.
No spreadsheets.
No spreadsheets needed. Like you get a better gun, and it's like, okay, you can shoot a little bit farther and a little bit. Like you just know the gun's better. Like they rank it for you.
Yeah.
World of Warcraft is you have like 4 different chyrons here, like things here, and each thing, like each little box in those chyrons is a move your character can do. And each thing, a lot of things will combo well to make each one of the things better. And so the more combos you can do, the better. But there's like cooldown ratios and time, so you can't just go everything. You have to like wait and time things. And so the better you know, like your system and what your equipment is doing for everything, like the more of a power player you can be.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
So I realized, having talked this out, the hedge fund bros, even though you would expect them, because they're all Chads, to be Call of Duty players, their life is basically in spreadsheets doing long-term, like couple months to year-long like bets, right?
Yeah. Right.
Whereas the day traders are going to be like, just look at something and be like, that's going to go up today, that's going to go down today. So they would be Call of Duty players, and the hedge fund bros would be WoWs. So our Call of Duty bros were just minding their own business, and the WoW players are like, screw, I'm trying not to curse anymore on this show. We won't last. Screw those guys. So anyway, backing back up from our tangent.
How's that going?
Yeah. So the Reddit guys from Wall Street
just
Bets.
really one. Mm-hmm. I want to touch on the tangent one little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you play World of Warcraft?
I have played World of Warcraft in the past. It is a fun. It and EVE Online are fun to do if you have a group of people doing it. But my problem is every time I've played the group I play with, like a bunch of my friends from college, they would get really, really, really into it, and I just wouldn't have time. And so they would go and like solo things by themselves. And so like the characters, I wanted it to be a D&D adventure. We're going and we're telling the story, and they would all go like just power level, and I'd be like reading like what's the quest? What are the names of these little pixels that are, or pixel people that we're supposed to go help? And they're like, Andrew, what are you doing? Like, it's been 5 minutes. I'm like, it's a really long box. And they're like, no one cares about this. So
yeah, you and I do share the team. We like the team. We really, it's fun if it's you, but barely. Mm-hmm. But it's you and like it's
so much more fun. It's like, that's the fun of it. It's the beauty of Dungeons and Dragons is you're forced to be on a team because you can't play it by yourself.
So good. It's good. Okay.
So untangenting. I think we only went one tangent deep with both of those. That's very exciting for us.
I'm proud of us.
Yeah. So the Wall Street Bets Reddit bros decided that because they're watching all of these what are called short trades happening, that they didn't like that this one group of hedge fund bros was short trading on or making a short play on GameStop. So
was the shorts first?
The shorts were first. That's what started it all. It's Wall Street Bets screwing with the hedge fund guys. So Jeremy, I think you was. I'm sorry.
Sorry, the reporting that I heard was they didn't specify, but they talked about the Reddit day traders before they talked about the hedge funds shorting.
Yeah.
So they saw the shorts.
Yeah. So they were doing what's called a short squeeze. So backing up, because again, you and I met in an accounting office, so this is something we understand, but I've realized our audience may not necessarily understand. So there's long trades and there's short trades, and basically long trades are what most people do, and that's, I think I'm going to buy this stock that's worth $10 and I'm going to hold on to it, and I think in like a year it's going to be worth $12. I'll make $2 off of it because I expect it to grow. So a short is the opposite of that, and it's like, hey, I think this stock is currently trading at $10, but I think it's going to only be worth $5 in like a month or two, right? So what you do when you do a short is you borrow a stock from somebody. So Andrew, am going to short Lorico. Oh no, I don't want to do that because Lorico is clearly worth more money than it's evaluated at.
Jones. Code.
Yeah, we'll find, I was going to do Yali too, but Yali like really watches us and I don't want to, I got to come up with somebody here.
You got to make it me.
Okay. No, I'll just do Shapiro Co. because I like Shapiro and he will never listen to this podcast, so it doesn't matter. I think Shapiro Co. is, it's currently valued at 15, but I'm like, that stuff is only like worth $5. So what I do is, Jeremy, you own like a share in Shapiro Co. So I'm like, all right, Jeremy, loan me your your Shapiro Co. stock right now, and then I'll give it back to you plus like $5 in like a month, right? So what I do is I take your share and I immediately sell it for $15, and I'm like, yeah, I just $15. It's technically neutral on the spreadsheet because I have $15 cash and I have effectively a $15 liability because I owe you a share of stock in a month. So a month goes by and Shapiro Co. just tanks. It goes down to $5. I was right. So I then buy a share of Shapiro Co. for $5. I have $10 left in the bank account. I give you my Shapiro Co. stock plus $5 because I said I'd give you $5 for loaning it to me. And then I've made $5, and that's a short sell. Or that's a short
squeeze, which is what the subredditors were trying to do.
Subredditors, because mostly from my understanding, nostalgia and trying to stick it to the man, were like, well, you're picking on our video game store. Like, yeah, it's a company that's going the way of Blockbuster. Everyone, including the Reddit bros, know that it's not a company that you should be invested in. And so they were just like, all right, you know what? These guys are shorting it. They're jerks for shorting it. So we're just going to go buy the stock. So what normally happens is in the stock market is as you buy more, as more people buy stock, more people are like, oh my gosh, I need to buy some of the stock because everybody's buying the stock. And so that increases the value. And so the more it's bought, the higher the value goes. And so what the WallStreetBets bros did is they just kept buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling, buying and selling. So all of a sudden this like $10 stock goes up to like $300 in the course of a couple days. Now that's great for the people who are basically got in early and sold, but it's terrible for the actual like hedge fund people, because all of a sudden like they were expecting to have to pay, $5 for this $10 stock. Like now they're like, it's now $295. It's now $290 more to buy a stock. So they've bought, like, they didn't just buy 10 stocks. They bought like hundreds of thousands of stocks. So they're like in the can for a lot of money here. So that's step one of what happened. So this is happening. It's exploding. And a lot of these buys from the WallStreetBets Reddit bros are coming from places like particularly Robinhood, which is it's actually an app that I use for my trading. Do you use Robinhood as well?
I don't.
You don't? Okay. I used Robinhood. Like there's a lot of people who disliked it before this, but I do so little trading. I'm a buy, hold, and just let it sit forever type retail investor. So I don't care. I don't have to pay a commission fee, and that's all I really give a dang about. Yeah.
That's what it's about.
Yeah. If they want to make 6% interest on the cash I have sitting in there every now and then, good for them. Anywho, so these like little places that are basically, we're here to democratize the stock market. All of a sudden, like a lot of their investors and a lot of people in government are all of a sudden like, let me rephrase that. It looks like a lot of these big players went to Robinhood and said, hey, stop allowing trades on these stocks. So Robinhood shut down the ability to buy any more Gamestop stock on their stuff. And so all of a sudden, like the Wall Street bros can't inflate the thing anymore. And so I think that summarizes most everything. So the big issues right now are the little guy, a bunch of the little guys are picking on what the Lilliputians are tying down Goliath, but Goliath had the government and big tech come in and like untie him. It's kind of it's maybe a little bit broad brush, but it's the controversy of the day. So,
Sure.
So that's what's going on. Jeremy, what do you think about it?
Well, so the reporting I heard was similar with a couple different things. So I did hear this was based on what I heard. The Robinhood CEO was on CNBC, and he claims there was no intervention they did it, Robinhood on their own, from the government or the powers that be. And based on how he was answering, it sounds like it was a liquidity issue.
Yeah.
They just simply couldn't handle. They didn't. Basically, what I'm saying is, when I say liquidity issue, is Robinhood didn't have enough money as a broker, to cover all of the money.
I think
particularly flowing in.
Yeah, I think we need to maybe explain what that means a little bit more, or unpack that a little bit more.
Yeah. I'm gonna try to.
I can give it a stab if you want.
Yeah, I get in trouble for talking over heads.
Gotcha. Well, I will try to be the everyman here. So basically, Robinhood as the broker is required by the Frank-Dodd Act, which was like the big, which was the big thing that happened after the housing bubble. Is the big legislation. But which basically requires that anytime there's like a bunch of trades going on, the broker or the person who's the Robinhood in this case. So they're not the company who is issuing the stock, and they're not the person who's buying the stock, but they're the middleman that allows the trade. So anytime that happens, like there's an interim period between when the trade actually happens when the person who wants to buy the stock says, hey, I want to buy the stock, and the person selling the stock says, hey, I'm going to sell the stock. There's like, it's most of the time it's like matters of microseconds, but when it's small sums and retail buyers, basically like you or I, it can take a couple hours, right? So what the problem is that brokerage firm, because they're holding the money, they have to have X amount of cash on hand just in case something goes down. It's in the same way that like a bank, it's like the way banks work. And for our audience, if you know all this, I apologize. The college tutor in me is coming out. So the way banks work is they don't actually have all of your money in their account. They usually, like the moment you give them, like if I put $10,000 in a bank, they're going to loan out 8,000 of that immediately and only have $2,000 on hand. But if I wanted to withdraw 10,000 of my dollars, there's like 10 other people who have $2,000 in their account. So they just take all of that, assuming that we're not all going to withdraw at the same time. So as interest payments come in, they always have X amount, but they make money on the money being out. So in the same way, so they always have to have a little bit in there. So the brokerages are the same way. They always have to have a little bit. So where Robinhood ran into an issue is because all of these WallStreetBets bros, and then the hedge funds who are trying to like basically kept trying to short again and again and again to cover their losses. Basically the trading was such that they couldn't keep that like massive amount of monies going in and out. Like they couldn't keep their percentage there. Right. And so they're like, well, we're having liquidity issues. So sorry, that was the explanation for what you were talking about. Go ahead.
Yeah, and that's much better. A casino was going to be my example.
Yeah, so I mean
stuff like that. So yeah,
casino gets thrown around a lot, but I don't think it's like the most apt analogy of the stock market.
It has a connotation to it. I know. So, but thank you for going banks, and that was better. So that seems to hold water to me on its face, is that they would, being, no commission, little guy broker. I could see Robinhood having liquidity issue on the type of volume that, $20 to over $400 in the matter of a week, I believe.
It might've been a matter of days.
I mean, that's
it was quick.
That's astronomical.
Yeah.
By stock standards.
Yeah. So to add to your, I'm going to let you continue, but to add to your thing. So the other problem in that interview, the interviewer asked him, so are you having liquidity issues? And the CEO said no. And so everyone's like, well, is it yes or no? Which I think the answer is it's yes and no. It's like they didn't have enough liquidity to cover this, but they have enough liquidity to be a going concern, which I think was what the CEO was trying to say, but everyone's like sensationalizing it a little bit. Anyway, continue.
I think you're absolutely right. But I think the halt was based on their liquidity concerns, not a goal, not if they're going to stay as Robinhood's going to stay a business. Then the second part that was a little different was they played video, what I saw on this podcast. They played video, or at least recordings, of these subredditors, the Wall Street Bros or whatever.
Wall Street Bros or Wall Street Bets.
Wall Street Bets.
Yeah.
The bros on Wall Street Bets on the subreddit. They were touting GameStop's fundamentals. They were saying this is,
really?
This is, they're talking about the asymmetry of it, and just real day trader sort of talk. And they played multiple things, multiple clips. So it to me, and so this sort of gets me to my GameStop opinion on it. And then I do have an analogy that I would like to draw to bring it back to politics after this. I didn't like it because someone has to be holding it at the end.
Someone has to hold the bag. Someone's
got to hold the bag at the end. Someone's left holding the bag. And my concern was that it would be, someone small that didn't, because like you've probably heard this before. I might even have said it on the show before, but usually the cycle of a idea or a phenomenon is the innovators, the imitators, and the idiots. And my concern is for the person who gets in and thinks it's cute. And I mean, you're talking about a huge ride down. Yeah. So that was my concern with it.
So, and I think that's a valid and legitimate concern, because most retail stock buyers, so not like corporate or industrial retail or stock buyers, like hedge fund types, people are not going to be overly financially literate. So I can empathize with,
and it has a bad energy to it.
It's and it's like, okay, like it's like, it's like somebody's going to get stuck holding the bag on this, and like the Wall Street Bets people are like, we want the hedge funds to be holding the bag at the end of it. But the problem is you get a lot of people riding the wave. So now this is where, and this might be where we disagree, because I think Robinhood should probably, this is not a me idea. This is actually a Ted Cruz quote, or at least reference, is that Robinhood should probably have a dumbass clause. So it's like Robinhood, in your user agreements, the first thing they should walk you through is like, here's everything that can happen. You can make these decisions, but if you're being a dumbass, it's not our fault. Because people should be allowed to make their own decisions.
Of course.
And people should be allowed to fail. So as much as I empathize with, the little guy who's stuck holding the bag, that is a decision that they made. It's like the same decision. Like I play the lottery I buy one lotto ticket for the two big lottos once at, most weeks, twice a week. Right. And I don't think I'm buying it to buy the dream, because $8 gets me the fantasy of winning the lottery for a week, whereas $15 when movie theaters were open got me the fantasy of whatever movie I was being in for an hour and a half. So I get my $8 goes a long way, and it gives me an excuse to like play around in a spreadsheet.
Which I've seen.
Yes.
It's impressive and I love it.
Yeah. But you have other people who like, when the lottery gets big, they go spend like 10 grand on it. And it's like, you're not actually increasing your chances by more than like a percentage, like a percentage of a percentage point. But like, those people are welcome to do it. They're idiots. It's probably not going to pay out for them, but they're welcome to do it. And I think this is an analogous situation.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. It's tough to say what is the fad element, the cachet of being, I'm a GameStop shareholder, this week. Because my thing is, I don't, what is the short 90 days usually? Like
or maybe even a month. So it's not long.
It's not long. I just think the hedge fund guys are going to be around longer.
Oh yeah.
And I mean, they have to meet their numbers and all that, but I mean, we've all been there. You just, you can explain that variance pretty easily. And, we think it's going to work itself out next quarter, and it probably will. So I think that's probably what's going to happen. And so a lot of those folks, I hope they, they mitigate their stuff well enough, but I just, I don't want to see anybody get hurt.
Well, that's one of those things, like if the Wall Street bros are like, all right, we got to get out now, guys, and everyone dumps, and it's like the short traders are the ones holding the bag, they've done their point. But like you said, I also worry that it's going to be, the 18-year-old kid who's like, this is funny, and didn't realize, like you forget about it. Like, you put $200 in, and that's like most of your money, but then you get busy and you don't get out. Like you miss that moment when it starts going down, you're screwed.
Yeah. If they went in early, or they went in earlier and they did make some money, they probably made a ton of money.
Yeah. Oh, so yeah.
They're buying in, they're in for way more. There is margin involved. We do know that for sure.
So I think where our discussion probably is, or ought to be, is where does, or at least where I'm seeing our differences is where's the justice better found? Is it in, hey, we are going to prevent people from making bad decisions because we are more literate in a particular thing, or are we going to allow people to make bad decisions because they have their own agency to act, whether it's ill-informed agency or not?
Right. And I think that's an interesting question. I do think that we can, it's going to sound like a dodge, but I'm going to come back to it.
Go for it.
I think it's going to start a real important conversation, a genuinely important conversation about market manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we do need some more regulation on market manipulation, because it's not usually some subreddit. It's usually a bunch of cats on Wall Street.
Yeah.
And now what I would like to see is regulation that tamps down, if not eliminates, market manipulation by those more established players.
Mm-hmm.
And I hope that is what is the majority of what comes of this.
Can we define market manipulation real quick? Because I think there's a difference between, so there's a lot of people who, let me back it up even more. So I think there's a lot of people who think that hedge fund traders and brokers don't provide a service to society, right? They're just using other people's monies, and they're just playing around with it. It doesn't matter. Yeah. So I don't think that that's necessarily true. I think what the purposes of hedge fund management is it's basically it is a third party evaluation of a company. So it is a market signaler rather than an actual what's the word? Other than just moving money around. I think that there is a service that is provided by Wall Street people.
Yeah, I mean, it is a for-profit service.
Oh, of course. Most services are for profit.
But not all of the services, most services don't pay out like Wall Street.
No, they don't. I mean, it is a very lucrative one, but I mean, so is Facebook, Apple, and Amazon.
Yeah, and those could be good places for regulation too. So because I think it's what I think the subreddit thing points out to me is the issue is the market manipulation, not the little guy versus big guy thing so much. It's, hey, we got together, we did this. They get together and they do this, but they do it in, across 1,000 people in a bunch of boardrooms. We did it with, several thousand people online. And that points out the weakness in the system. And I would like to see that be the outcome of this. Additionally, I think if I would like to see the point be made, and this is, the level of perfectionist that I am, like, if the little guy wants to call it the big guy, like, call it out. Don't do more of the bad thing that the big guy does. Do the good thing better.
Yeah. So I guess
that make sense?
I think it does. I guess there might be some confusion, or maybe it is disagreement, because I don't think that what the hedge funds people was bad. Right. You're not being malicious by shorting a stock. You're saying, no. Yeah, it's a bet. It's signaling to the market, hey, I think this company is overvalued, and I'm like, and here's why. And so I'm putting my money where my mouth is on this. And the shorts don't always work out.
Yeah. And and my the bone that I have to pick is not with shorting, it's with manipulating.
Yeah, which is I think maybe why we need a better definition of what you mean by market manipulation.
You can, if you have enough money amongst whatever size group that you can, it can only be it can be a 2-person deal if you both have enough money to do it, and you can manipulate a stock up or down based on that. So basically, we would like to think that our system is like one person, one vote. Everybody's kind of equal in the eyes of the game, but in a capitalist market, the bigger fish stomp the smaller fish. Like that's just how the system works. And so I think I agree with the subreddit folks in that we can do things to protect more people and tamp down on that, create an out of bounds for that in Wall Street, those big players getting together and just doing whatever they damn well please, and I just want to make more and more money, so we're just going to keep it going up. And if that's the point of what they're doing, I agree with them in spirit. I just hope no one gets hurt. But I want to hear your take, and then I want to give my analogy.
Oh, okay. So I guess there's a couple things. It's like, I believe we already have laws in place that prevent what your definition of market manipulation is. So you can't, it is illegal. Like whether they are enforced well or not is a different discussion. And we'd probably agree that they're not enforced as well as they should be. I mean, you just look at the financial crash of the home equity crash of 2008. Like that was clearly all the regulatory services or regulatory agencies just failed. And the accreditation agencies, they just failed. But there were things in place that were supposed to prevent that. So at least in your example, I think there is already stuff there. It is illegal to not cahoots. There's a better word for it. Conspire.
Yeah.
To artificially raise something. The other thing I would point out is so in in a capitalist system, the big fish don't necessarily always eat the small fish. The small fish can eat the larger fish. But in a corporatist,
now we're talking theory.
Yes, in a corporatist system,
communism looks really good on paper.
In a corporatist system, which is what we tend to have these days, not so much, because you can basically what's the word? It's regulatory. It's not lockdown. It's there's a phrase for it. Regulatory capture. And so the big fish has enough money that they can basically be like, go to the referee and be like, I own you now. Which is not, the referee is supposed to be the referee. Can you still hear me?
It just got choppy.
Oh, okay. In a corporate,
if you want to go again.
Okay, yeah. In a corporatist system, the big fish can pay off the referee, But in a capitalist system, the referee is supposed to be above that, and we don't currently have that. And one of the flaws of capitalism is it is vulnerable to corporatism. Anywho, what's your analogy?
Actively currently suffering from.
I think we are suffering from corporatism. I think we're very, very like cancerously suffering from corporatism. And that is a detriment to American innovation and like the American spirit. Like our system our capitalist system should have a few rules, but like I've watched enough nature films because I am married to sweet Laura who knows animals to know that small things will kill big things regularly, and it is terrifying to watch.
Yep.
Like we own, I don't know if you can't see him, but we moved one of our lizards, Sinai, into here, and I always feel bad for Sinai because there's a chance that the crickets that I feed him will in fact kill him and eat him. It's terrifying. Nature is a scary, scary place, man.
Yeah, agreed. And I feel like the big hedge fund folks and big corporations that you mentioned earlier watch those same nature films, and so they make sure those referees are well stacked.
Yes.
In their favor because they don't want to get eaten by the crickets.
Yes.
And they're doing a great job. It's well done.
Mm-hmm. I don't disagree in principle. So anyway, what's your analogy?
So putting aside a lot of the nuance of the GameStop situation, so we got the big guy, we got the little guy, and we got the stock. So, and now we both know, and I think if you don't know, it's a very good idea to think about a stock. It's not a piece of paper. It's a part of a business. You're buying a piece of a business and a piece of their earnings. You're buying a right to this portion of their earnings, and so the idea is you would want to buy one that has a good solid portion of earnings and good margins that are sustainable and all that sort of Buffett talk. So now we have this big guy, we'll say the establishment. And then we'll have this little guy, and they're beating this stock up and down. You know what I mean? Just this piece of paper up and down. But the true value of that stock, that right to a portion of earnings, has nothing to do with the establishment guy. It has nothing to do with the little guy. It is the fundamentals of that stock, that right to a portion of earnings. So the evaluation of that is what's important, that stock. So now I'm going to take it back because we found a way to make politics even more boring. Talking about financial regulation. So back into politics, the establishment, the establishment parties, the Republican, Democrat, doesn't matter. The reality is not what they say. The little guy, reality is not what they say. It is what has legs, what actually is going on. And the way to evaluate that is what I'm hopefully will not say ever again, but the logic and critical thinking, but just basically a battery of questions. Does this thing have legs? And that is what is really going on. So if a stock was valued at $20 a week ago, and it's now valued at over 400 some dollars, I think it might even got above 450 at some point. Like, we're detached from the fundamentals. We are detached from reality. I don't care who is doing that. The establishment politicians or the establishment folks, in my mind, you're trying to draw this political analogy, or the little guy. It's analyzing those fundamentals and just asking those questions that, does this have legs? Is it legit? Is it really what's going on? And that is something I found interesting, I suppose, from the GameStop situation.
Okay. So let me see if I understand. What you found interesting was not so much the game that's being played, but what is the nature of a stock, if you will, or the nature of the evaluation of a stock,
and how it applies to truth in our current political climate.
Okay. Gotcha. So like the reality of the ownership is analogous to truth in our political sphere. Like what one side says about it or the other doesn't really matter. Like at the end of the day, GameStop is going to probably produce a 50-cent dividend, if that, on whatever their net assets are. And
exactly.
So yeah. So but that brings, I guess, and this may break down your analogy, but the question is, so the valuation of the stock is what people are willing to pay for it at the end of the day. So now there's,
well, I'll interject this. In the short term, the stock market is, and you probably heard this before, in the short term, the stock market is a voting system. And in the long term, it's a weighing system.
Yes.
So
that's a Buffettism, right?
All of my good stuff is.
Okay.
But yeah, so basically, like, what's the weight of this thing? Be it a GameStop stock, be it a political ideology, be it a results of an election. Like, what's the true weight of it, and how and getting better at finding that weight. That's what.
Yeah, that's, and again, so this may may not be in line with the analogy, but it's one of those. I agree that ideas are similar in that they're, in the short term they are a voting system, in the long term it is a measurement. Like the good ideas that have led to better human civilizations have generally won through. Yes, that might actually be arguable. I would argue with myself on that statement. But anyway, good ideas tend to win through. I can't even make that statement. I believe that good ideas tend to run through. Shoot, I got lost in my own head, man. That was bad.
No. It's
I
all
kept
good.
quibbling with myself.
But I on most of that, I would agree that good ideas,
I think,
tend to win out, or at least good ideas should continue to be fought for.
Yes.
And pushed forward. And
I think
brought up.
Maybe I can do this. When people are presented with good ideas, and
so you were making the point about, you couldn't even say that good ideas win out.
I think good ideas win out when ideas are properly presented in all of their pros and cons. I think would probably be the better way of saying it. I think given a fair market, good ideas will win out.
Yeah, I really hope that's true.
Yeah, because I was like, as I was thinking about it, I was like, oh yeah, we're like the arc of history, we're like bending towards good things. And I'm like, well, but China's kind of a bad regime, and Iran's kind of a bad regime, North Korea's kind of a bad regime, and Russia's kind of a bad, like, and I was just going through, like, well, there's all these countries really, like, the ideas should be presentable, but yet they're not. It doesn't feel like they're winning, and I don't know if that's because not all ideas are presented, or it's just bad ideas are winning. So I don't know.
Or do you think like you went very geopolitical with it. I thought of like VHS versus Laserdisc.
Oh, well.
Laserdisc was like a much better product, and VHS won. Like, that is not right. How did that happen?
Yes.
But I think it served the powers that be.
There was definitely the market. Yeah,
I don't know. I mean, but there's a situation where, like, I think had it been presented evenly, I think the market would have went with the Laserdisc.
Yeah.
They're prettier, they looked cooler, and they were better. Like, But
that's the problem. Corporatism, man. Anywho, yeah. So, I guess we should sort of address the. I don't know if it's the reality, but there might be some like back end stuff with Robinhood. But I don't know that either of us are super interested in that as a conversation, like whether the government or big tech or the Wall Street stepped in to like stop it or not. I don't know. I guess I'm at the end of the day, I'm not, I don't know that I'm even particularly interested in it because I don't know, like there should be an investigation. There will be an investigation. If it comes to light that there was some shenaniganery, then shenaniganery should be addressed.
I can't believe you went for it again. I'm so impressed.
I know. I was just like, you know what? We're just going to go with it.
I dig it. Yeah. So yeah, I think I'm definitely interested in a recap. And I feel like we could do a pretty good one. Yeah. Because we did a pretty good
job. We have to sign off before we do a recap.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. But I'm just
all right. Well, Jeremy Jones, I think we had two political conversations. I think we were friends before.
Friends during
and friends after.
Friends after. Cheers.
Welcome to Friendly Argument with Andrew Bernard and Jeremy Jones.
Let's do this. New stuff. All the tangents.
Some politics.
Booze. Some more politics.
Stuff about Kansas. And lots of cheersings.
Friendly Argument is a podcast showcasing conversations that seek common ground across the aisle of American politics, as well as a few laughs. We hope you guys enjoy, and thanks for watching.